And today we're starting a new series. I'm excited about this series. I really believe it's going to be so life-changing for so many people in 2024. It's called Own It. And we'll be doing this series all the way through the 4-week challenge and maybe even beyond. But it's all about breaking free from excuses. Breaking free from excuses. And the title of my message today is I Will Own My Life. I will own my life. I've shared this story before. I want to share it again, but with a bit of a different angle. And it was from when I was in college. Sundays were very easy for me, especially during the fall. Wake up, go to church, come back to the dorm, watch the Colts. It was in Missouri, so they were on Central Time, so I got to watch the Colts at noon, and then I took a nap. That's just what I did every Sunday. And so one Sunday, the Colts must have lost because I was in a little bit of a funk. Because when I was getting ready to take my nap, some of my roommates came over and they were like, hey, man, one of our teachers, she's a widow. And they're like, she needs some yard work done at your house. And I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't feeling very godly in that moment. I was like, why can't you do her own yard work? You know what I mean? Like, why we got to go do her? You know what I mean? Y'all got enough people? Do you really need me? You know what I mean? So, but anyway, I was like, man, I felt convicted. And so I was like, all right, yeah, I'll go help. And so we drive over to her house. And y'all, the front yard, we pull up. And I'm like, oh, my goodness. The grass was like up to like knee level. Like I didn't know grass could grow up to knee level. You know what I mean? And so I'm looking at the front yard. I'm like, oh my goodness. And then we go into the backyard. And it is like the Amazon rainforest. No joke, grass and weeds up to my waist and higher. I mean, we're peeling through her backyard like this. It was so high, we're walking through her backyard and bam, she had a fountain that we couldn't even see because I'm like, what? And then it dawns on me. She has 2 students in college that live at home. So I start asking questions. I'm like, hey, man, don't her kids? Hey, where her kids? And they weren't even there to help. I'm like, what about her kids? And they're like, oh, well, that's, yard work's not really their thing, and they've been kind of busy, and, it's just kind of been a rough year on them, and all I'm hearing is wah, 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 wah. I'm just hearing excuses. I'm like, well, man, I'm busy. You know what I mean? I got some stuff going on. Like, I was about ready to think of reasons why I'm looking at this mess. And here's the deal. Here's what I know. Excuses were not going to get her yard cleaned up. Excuses were not going to cut that grass. Excuses were not going to clean out that fountain. Excuses were not going to pull all those 5-foot weeds and everything else. Excuses were not going to get anything done. Matter of fact, excuses are the reason why that house just got so, that yard and the house and everything just got so crazy. And so we busted out the lawnmowers. I think we had a couple machetes. I mean, we needed like, okay, we're about to go to work, and we got her yard completely fixed up, taken care of. She was so blessed by it. But, here's what I've learned. Success and excuses don't live together in the same house. That house got cray-cray because of excuses. And it's true for all of us. If you want to live a life of excess, excuses have to leave the house. And if you want to live a life of excuses, success will leave the house. Success and excuses don't live together in the same house. Jim Rohn said this. Jim Rohn with an N. He said this: excuses are the nails used to build houses of failure. Excuses are the nails used to build houses of failure. And when it comes to your life, are you building a house of failure because you're using the nails of excuses? See, all of us are building houses. We're building friendship house, a financial house. We're building an educational house, a career house. We're building a physical health and mental health and emotional health house. And some of your houses may look like my professor's house. As we begin another new year, some of you are reflecting on how your 2023 went. And as you look back, you see broken relationships, no peace, financial disarray, regrets, guilt, shame, disappointment, frustration, and defeat. You look back and you see houses of failure. Your marriage house is damaged. Your dating house has wall holes in all the drywall. Your relationship with your kids has flooding all throughout the house. Your friendships don't have any heat working in the house, nothing but freezing cold air in your friendships. Your emotional, mental, physical house, it's been beat up and battered, and you feel like you're on the repeat cycle of defeat. It's a constant defeat and repeat, defeat and repeat, defeat and repeat. And you're wondering, can I ever get out of the cycle of defeat and repeat? Can 2024 be different? Can things improve? Will things always be this bad? Can you ever accomplish your goals and see success rather than failure? Listen, there really is hope for you in 2024. You don't have to keep building a house of failure with the nails of excuses. You can break free from the horrible habit of excuses, and you can begin to own your life, own your decisions, own your finances, own your relationships, and own your spiritual life. See, excuses today make sure your life is the same as it was yesterday. Excuses are nothing more than a self-imposed roadblock. And some of you are your worst enemy. You keep blocking your success with excuses. It's a self-imposed roadblock. Benjamin Franklin said this: "He that is good at making excuses is seldom good for anything else." Excuses, they are a self-imposed roadblock. George Washington Carver said 99% of failures come from people who have the habit of making excuses. We have to break the habit of excuses so that we can start owning our life and building houses of success. And listen, it's not an easy habit to break. Making excuses has been a struggle from the very beginning. The first humans, Adam and Eve, they disobeyed God. Sin entered the world. And one of the first things we see Adam and Eve do is make excuses. Look at Genesis chapter 3, verse 11 through 13. God said, "Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree that I commanded you not to eat from?" The answer should have been, "Yes, Lord. I disobeyed you. I'm sorry." But the man said, "The woman you put here with me, she gave me the fruit from that tree, and I ate it." He blaming God and the woman. Okay, Adam. Then the Lord said to the woman, "What is this you have done?" She should have said, "I disobeyed you. I'm sorry." But the woman said, "The serpent deceived me, and I ate." When sin entered the world, so did excuses. It's the woman's fault. It's the serpent's fault. God, you put her down here. This was the moment humanity started to build houses of failure with nails of excuses, and it continues to this very day. It's not my fault. It's my parents' fault. It's my childhood. It's my friend's fault. It's my job. It's my coworkers. It's my boss's fault. It's my teacher's fault. It's my school. It's the economy. It's my enemies. It's problems. It's personality. It's my spouse. It's my ex. It's my skin color. It's my hair. I'm too tall. I'm too short. Excuses. Self-imposed roadblocks. And the raw reality is there are some situations you find yourself in that aren't your fault. Someone did something to you. There were circumstances that happened outside of your control. It's unfair what happened to you. But listen, the only way you can move forward is to overcome all excuses and start owning where you are. Start owning your decisions to move forward in life. Start owning what you can control. Taking ownership of your life and your decisions is a biblical principle. It's easily overlooked and under practice, but it's a very important biblical principle. Look at Matthew 11:12. It says, from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and the violent take it by force. You have to take some things by force. You have to own it. Philippians 4:13, it says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Listen, God will strengthen you, okay? But you have to do the all things part. You have to own it. Philippians 2:12, it says, so then, my beloved, just as you have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your salvation with fear and trembling. Now, let me explain this, what this verse means here. This is not talking about working for your salvation, okay? I'm not even talking about working on your salvation. You can't do anything to finish or make your salvation more complete. Jesus did it all right? When he said, it is finished, that's what he meant. The price has been paid once and for all for your salvation. Our salvation can only be found in the finished work of Christ. So we don't work to get saved. But Paul is saying we do work because we are saved. God has called us to work out what he has worked in us. He's called us to work out what he has worked in us. You have to own your salvation that God has freely given you, and then you have to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. You got to work it out with your family. Work it out in your career and education. Work it out with your finances. Work it out with your health. Work it out with your friends. You are called by God to work it out. Come on, look at your neighbor. Just tell him, work it out. Work it out. Work it out. We can make that a song, y'all. I don't know, somebody, work it out. But work it out for Jesus, okay? I got something there. Somebody else can finish it. But listen, you don't work to get saved, but you do work it out because you are saved. And to work it out means you have to move past your excuses. You have to own it. In 2024, we're going to stop building houses of failure with the nails of excuses. You're going to work it out. Own your own life and work it out. Own your relationships and work it out. Own your problems and work it out. Own your future and work it out. In life, you can have excuses or you can have success, but you can't have both. You can't have both. And so I want to share with you 3 common excuses that'll keep from owning it. 3 common excuses that'll keep from owning it. And we're going to be looking at Philippians chapter 2, verses 12 through 15. The first common excuse is this, is complaining. Complaining. Philippians 2:14. The Bible says, do everything without complaining. Whew. Lord, getting in my grill a little bit. Do everything. See, some of you are building a house of failure with the nails of complaining. Complaining is when you spend your time expressing your dissatisfaction, your sadness, discontentment, frustration with where you are and what's in front of you. And the greatest lie of complaining is people think it helps their life. People think complaining will somehow lead to changing their circumstances or their life. But complaining, it's a self-imposed roadblock. It stops owning where you are. It stops you from changing your life and your circumstances. That's why Paul says, work out your salvation with fear and trembling, and do everything without complaining. Because complaining about it won't change anything. It actually makes things worse. You're complaining about your kids, and it's not making it any better. You're complaining about your marriage. It's not making it any better. You're complaining about your job, your money, your teacher at school, the economy, and it's not making anything better. Oftentimes, it's making it worse. And so ask yourself, am I spending my time complaining? Or am I owning where I am and doing something about it? To experience success in 2024, you got to stop complaining and start owning where you are. Rick Warren said, "You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are a child of God with the power to change them." Stop complaining and start claiming the promises of God for your life. Woo, that's a word, y'all. Rewind. Let me say it again. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are a child of God with the power to change them. Stop complaining and start claiming the promises of God for your life. Stop complaining and work out your salvation with fear and trembling. Number two, second common excuse is arguing. Philippians 2:14. Do everything without complaining and arguing. Some of you, you are building a house of failure with nails of arguing. You aren't seeing changes and success because you're spending all your time arguing about where you are in life. You're arguing with God. You're arguing with friends, family, with coworkers. Some of you, you are professional arguers. You're a professional at debating. Now don't point, come on, don't point, don't side-eye anybody. Areas of your life are in shambles, and all you're doing is arguing with everybody. You're defensive. You built walls around you. You're keeping people out. You're keeping wisdom out. And you're keeping change out. Arguing, it's a self-imposed roadblock. It blinds you from seeing the reality of where you are. And it causes you to push relationships and other opportunities out of your life. Someone once said, "I'm not arguing. I'm just explaining why I'm right." And that's your problem. You're always right. You just argue your perspective. Someone else once said, "It's important to know when to stop arguing with people and just let them be wrong." Hear me today. It's a bad place to be when wise people around you just keep quiet and they let you keep building a house of failure with nails of arguing. You have to stop arguing and start working out your salvation with fear and trembling. And then number three is blaming. Some of you, you're building a house of failure with nails of blaming. See, you can either spend your time blaming or you can spend your time becoming blameless. Philippians chapter 2:15, it says, "So that you may become blameless and pure, children of God without fault in a warped and crooked generation. Then You will shine among them like stars in the sky. As Christ followers, we're supposed to strive to be blameless, not blame others. See, blaming is one of the most destructive habits that will keep you from owning it. It's a self-imposed roadblock that will keep you from working out your salvation with fear and trembling. Blaming, it relieves you from all responsibilities. Instead, you're spending all your energy putting responsibility on someone or something else. And when you do this, you give the person or the circumstance power over your life. You literally render yourself powerless. And some of you, you've lost control of your life because you're spending your energy blaming people or circumstances. You've become a victim. You believe you can't change and do better in life because of what they did or what they said. It's your parents' fault why you can't be successful in life. It's your spouse's fault. It's your crazy upbringing. It's the neighborhood you live in. It's where you work. It's your kids' fault. It's your lack of opportunities. It's your unique set of circumstances. It's those people's fault why you can't be successful in 2024. And as your pastor, listen, I love you and I want to speak the truth to your heart today. You have to stop putting your future in someone else's hands. Listen, today, you have to start owning where you are so that you can change where you are. The kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and the violent take it by force. You have to own it. You can do all things through Christ who gives you strength. You have to own it. You can work out your salvation with fear and trembling. I want to close with a story about a teacher in the Bronx. She had a classroom of students that she wanted to see reach their full potential. But nearly all of them were held back by years of making excuses, blaming, and choosing not to own what they could own. She had them write down on little pieces of paper all of the I can'ts. I can't get a good grade. I can't get a job. I can't go to college. She then put them in a shoebox. And they went outside on the playground, and she talked to them how most of what they wrote down was not an I can't, but an I won't. She then lit the box on fire. And she had them go back inside and began to write what they could do and what they would do. More of them graduated and went on to college than any other class because they owned it. At graduation, one student said, "It was the moment that I burned my excuses and decided to own it that made all the difference." She told them, stop making excuses, stop complaining, stop blaming, and they owned it. Listen, I got a shoebox up here, and we got some I can'ts that we need to put in this shoebox, and we need to burn it. We need to bury it. There's some of you today, you're believing the lie of the enemy. I can't be successful. And listen, you got all the excuses, come on, today in 2024, let's put it into the shoebox. Some of you today, you feel like I can't overcome depression and anxiety. I've tried. There's just no way. There's just no help. Come on, today, let's put it in the shoebox. Let's light it on fire. Let's burn up the I can't. Some of you today believe you can't have a happy marriage. I want you to know that you can. With Jesus, you can. Come on, would you put it into the shoebox? Some of you today, you believe the lie that I can't serve the Lord. I'm too messed up, jacked up, made too many mistakes. I don't have time. There's no way God would want to use me. Come on, would you take the I can't and put it in the shoebox? Some of you today, you believe I can't break free from the addiction. You've been addicted for years or months or 10, 20 plus years, and I've tried and it doesn't work. Come on, today, 2024, would you put the I can't in the shoebox? Some of you believe, I can't lose weight. Listen, you can. You can do it. Come on, would you take the I can't and would you put it in the shoebox. Some of you believe I can't get out of debt. You're looking at all your debt and your bills, and you're looking at the income. You're just saying, I just can't. I don't see a way. And you can find excuse after excuse. You don't even want to look at your bank statement anymore. But come on, in 2024, would you take the I can't and would you put it in the shoebox? Some of you believe I can't have good relationships. Come on, would you believe you can, and would you put it in the shoebox? Some of you believe, man, I can't attend church every Sunday. It's just too hard. Every Sunday, 52 weeks. You got to find all the excuse. Come on, would you own it? You can. Would you put it in the shoebox? And there's many of us in this room, we have I can'ts that the enemy's been telling us over and over again, trying to fill our minds with these lies. And I'm here to tell you today, with Jesus, you can. Would you take every single one of your I can'ts? Would you put it in the shoebox? And come on, we're going to light it on fire. We're going to burn it. We're going to bury it in 2024, because with God, you can. You can do all things, but you got to own it. You got to own it. You got to own it. You got to own it and say, yes, I can. Yes, I will. And you got to start writing out your I cans and I wills. And I'm telling you, you will see God do immeasurably more in your life than you could ever ask or imagine if you get rid of the excuses, own it, and say, I can, I can, I can. Let's pray. If you'll bow your heads and close your eyes.